Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is your pastor speaking on 93.3 Real Talk Radio Network. You are listening to Unfiltered today. And guess what? I have a guest with me today. It is my favorite oldest son. Austin is with me. Hey, Austin, what's up?
What's up? I see what you did there.
Yeah, we're going to talk about something in a minute, but first let me just go ahead and finish this little opening. So just in case if you are brand new to the radio show this morning, you're flipping through the dial, you're trying to find something to listen to, and you hear this wacky, crazy voice wondering what in the world is going on. Well, you're listening to Jason Gaszak. I am the pastor of Roots Church out in St. Clair, Missouri, and I have this radio show called Unfiltered, and I talk about things in an unfiltered way. Those things are political, social, and biblical topics. And usually I try to fit, we have 4 segments in the show. We only do 1 hour on Saturday at 8 a.m., and then they do a rebroadcast at Sunday at 8 a.m. And so I try to pick 1 or 2 things per segment. But today is really it's like a smorgasbord of topics and things. And it's mainly because last week I talked specifically about mental health. I had a great reaction to that. A lot of people texting and Facebook messaging me and emailing me and really just in any way they can get to me in social media, let me know some of the things that they go through and that how they supported the message. But today, I'm going to talk about anything and everything, Austin. I have a lot of different articles. We're going to jump around all over the place. But if you would like to comment, text me at 314-924-4215. Again, that's 314-924-4215. Or get on the Real Talk Radio app and you can chat with me there. I'm usually on the app every time we broadcast to talk back to somebody if need be. But otherwise, I just want to see your comments. I want to see what you like, what you don't like, what you think, all those good things. But before we get into the show, Austin, I asked you if you were wearing a certain pair of pants because it's really distracting.
Yeah. They're camouflage.
Are they camouflage? They look like leopard.
Or leopard. I think they might be leopard.
It's more of a leopard.
It's like a camouflage leopard print.
The good thing is now we are actually videoing this radio show.
Yeah.
So if you're listening, the good news is I encourage you to follow me on all social media, Instagram and Facebook. That's about all I got, ladies and gentlemen. Instagram, Facebook, and then I have a YouTube page. And on the YouTube page, we're trying to make that a little bit more user-friendly. Instead of just listening to me, we're actually going to now record these shows, and you're going to be able to see us live in action.
Yep.
Right? And so I thought about those pants when we talked about videoing this because I just want people to know, hey, you're just a stylish dude. You're confident in what you wear, and most likely you won't see his pants anyway. But I just wanted everybody to know.
They're my favorite pants. They're not even really mine, so I'm borrowing them.
Don't tell me who they are, okay? Because then if people find that out, we're all in trouble.
No.
They are, just for the record,
they're
ladies
men's
and gentlemen.
pants.
I was going to say, just for the record, they are men's pants. They are men's pants, no doubt. All right, so let's get into some of this. Are you ready to do it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to first talk about a man that was sentenced wrongfully. Because you were with me the last time we talked about this particular topic.
Yeah.
And this guy was sentenced to 400 years in prison for a crime he did not commit. And guess what? He was just freed. This is a Florida man. Spent 34 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit. He is Sidney Holmes. He's 57 years old and was convicted for his alleged role in a 1988 armed robbery and sentenced to 400 years in prison. But of course, this week he was released from prison. And here's what he had to say. He said, "I never lost hope and always knew this day would come." That's what Holmes said.
Yeah.
What a positive reaction.
Yeah, I don't know that mine would be that positive.
Well, I wanted to talk about it a little bit because, wow, this rarely happens.
Yeah, it's true.
But it's kind of cool because, here's a guy that was obviously wrongfully sentenced, and you got to wonder what. I feel like the prosecuting attorney is the one that needs to answer to this.
Yeah.
I don't feel like if this is a wrong, what it is, if it's wrong, I think the person in charge that wrongfully accused him, the prosecuting attorney, there needs to be a consequence.
Yeah, I agree.
And I have no idea where that guy is. I'm assuming he's probably not the prosecuting attorney anymore, but they need to find him.
Well, this happened in 1988. So
The crime.
Yeah, the crime did. So then he was later convicted and put into prison. I mean, where my mind goes is imagine how much the world has changed since 1988. I mean, I wasn't even born in 1980. I wasn't around in 1988. So just imagine getting assimilated back into life because somebody didn't do their job. Yeah. And that just kind of goes to show the flaw in the justice system sometimes.
Here's the crazy part. I'm reading this little statement. It says the Innocence Project said. I don't know what that is or who that is necessarily, but either way, they said there was no physical or scientific evidence, nor any corroborating witnesses linking Mr. Holmes to the crime, but yet he was still convicted of the crime. That is the judicial system that is screwed up.
Yeah.
I mean, that is screwed up.
So the Innocence Project, they go around and they advocate for people who think they've been wrongfully convicted.
I got you. Okay.
So
it's an organization.
Yeah, it's an organization.
Right. I thought it was just somebody who didn't want to be quoted.
No. But yeah, man, it's one of those things where...
Here's the funny part. Listen to this.
Yeah.
Before you say that.
Okay.
I just saw this. It says the judge at the time, in 1988, he thought that the 825-year sentence originally was perhaps, here's the quote, perhaps a little bit too much, end quote.
Yeah.
So instead, he sentenced Holmes to 400 years.
Yeah.
That is just...
Which is like...
come on. How many life? That's like 8 times
it's 8
the life sentence.
sentences.
That's insane.
Yeah. All for armed robbery. I'm not advocating for that, obviously, but...
No.
That does seem a little bit harsh anyway, no matter how you square it.
Yeah. So we're gonna so that's kind of the harsh article. Now let's give the complete opposite of that article again. Yeah, I'm gonna give a little hope because this was really cool. I remember this actually happening, and this is about a coach that was fired for praying at a football game. He got fired because he would kneel with his team after a game. And it wasn't like he forced anybody into the prayer. Right. He didn't force anybody to kneel. They just, voluntarily knelt with him, prayed. The administration at the time released him on admin leave without pay. This was 8 years ago when this happened. And just recently, this article was written on March the 21st, just a couple of days ago. And it came out, and here's the title, Coach Fired for Praying at Football Game, Reinstated to his old role and gets nearly $2 million settlement. Wow. Good for him.
Yeah.
Joseph Kennedy, who was a high school assistant football coach, fired 8 years ago for praying on the field with students, returned to his old position and received $1.78 million settlement. The board members of the Bremerton School District in Washington voted last week to approve the settlement, which will cover attorney fees incurred by Kennedy in the landmark legal battle that reached the Supreme Court last year. The justices ruled that the public high school violated the First Amendment by placing Kennedy on administrative leave in response to his prayer. This, Austin, is a huge win for anybody in their faith that wants to practice their First Amendment right. And this is just, again, somebody inserting themselves to try to control that narrative.
Yeah. This is why the Supreme Court is so important. This is why the left is wanting to pack the Supreme Court, because this got all the way up to the Supreme Court. And then it says here that Neil Gorsuch actually made a comment that respect for religious expressions is indispensable to life in a free and diverse republic. Yep. And that's why it's so vital that, good for him, good for the justices that overturned this and basically made sure that reparations happened and things like that 8 years ago too.
Yeah, I want to take that statement just a little further from what you just read. It says here, a government entity sought to punish an individual for engaging in a personal religious observance, based on a mistaken view that it has a duty to suppress religious observances, even as it allows comparable secular speech. The Constitution neither mandates nor tolerates that kind of discrimination. That is what the justices said.
Yeah.
That is powerful. And guess what? That is their job. Their job is to uphold the law, the Constitution. Remember, it's for the people, by the people. A lot of people have the government messed up in what they think their role is. The government, we are protected. This Constitution that we have, the amendments protects us from the government. Yeah. And it's the United States Supreme Court that actually is like the liaison.
It's like the last line of defense.
Yeah, I mean, it's the liaison between a citizen and the government. Yeah. And then they say, no, this is the law, this is what it says, and you violated that, and now you're being punished. And the sad part is, I'm glad he waited 8 years. I'm glad he didn't settle for any less. Right. But just think if he would have held out a little bit longer. They settled this outside of court.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
I didn't read the full article.
Yeah, the school board decided to settle with this lawsuit. They thought that was, okay, we know we could probably going to have to pay more if we don't do this outside of court. And that's exactly what happened.
Wow.
It is crazy. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, we're glad that you're with us. We got to take our first break, so don't go anywhere, because when we come right back, we're going to dive in some topics that are in the headlines. You're listening to Real Talk Radio Network 93.3 Unfiltered. See you back here in just a minute. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back from the break, and we are actually just got through talking about two topics on the justice system. One, actually, both of them were actually positive, in my opinion. You know, you had a man that was wrongfully accused, a sentence for 400 years that was set free, and then the other one was the coach that got reinstated after a lawsuit of him kneeling and praying, but you know, so great, kind of two great outcomes there. Let's talk about this other one, though, Austin, this other article that I thought was really insane to kind of get your opinion on. And here's how the article reads. It's a detransitioner. And this detransitioner is actually, it says, teen suing doctors for removing breast at age 13, putting her on puberty blockers. So let me give you a little bit of the story, and then I'll see what you think. A teenager is suing a healthcare company and the doctors who put her on controversial puberty-blocking drugs at the age of 12 and removed her breast in a double mastectomy surgery when she was just 13 years old, accusing them of intentional fraud and concealment. Layla Jane, an 18-year-old detransitioner represented by an attorney, in a letter of intent to sue that she was rushed into life-altering medical services while she and her family were not properly informed of the risk and other vital information, such as the rate of desistance for child gender dysphoria. It says here that Layla immediately started puberty blockers and testosterone at age 12 and had a double mastectomy at age 13. That's what the letter states. So, Austin, what are your thoughts? I mean, do you feel like this is a legitimate lawsuit that she's suing the doctors for this, or do you think she should be suing her parents or holding her parents accountable?
I mean, I definitely think there's a level of accountability for the parents. Mm-hmm. But I think if we kind of think about this through maybe number one, if they're allowing their daughter to be, if they're being influenced by what a doctor is saying and the doctor's prescription, whatever you want to call it, is, well, we need to basically, because you have gender dysphoria, you don't feel right about being in your own body, we need to now give you puberty blockers and make you into a boy. Okay, if the parents are subscribing to that ideology, then there's something not right with the parents for sure. But I also feel like they're not living life through a biblical worldview. They are obviously, they don't have those same values and morals that we have, so I think it's just ignorance. But the doctors, on the other hand, to me, this is absolute malpractice. I feel like there should be a lawsuit. I feel like this practice should be banned. Yeah. But yes and no, I feel like. So.
Well, I definitely agree that the doctor should be sued. There's no doubt, and it is malpractice. It's actually sick and perverted that they would even allow this to happen on a 12-year-old, 13-year-old. It's disgusting, and it's unacceptable. But I also think the parents also need to be held responsible, and truthfully, they need to go to jail.
Yeah.
They literally need to go to jail for this. I mean, if you cannot actually protect your children from the insanity and the stupidity and the craziness of this world, you don't deserve to be a parent. Yeah. You're not protecting that child. That child has no right to be under those circumstances, not even close. The parent should be fighting for that. These parents are completely ignorant and stupid. Stupid just means, you know what? You made a really bad choice. That's what that means. And you made an extremely harmful, long-term choice that your daughter now, ma'am, sir, have to deal with. Here's what she says in a statement. She goes, I don't think I should have been allowed to change my sex before I could legally consent to having sex. She said that in a Fox News appearance. She said, I don't think I'm better off for the experience, and I think transition just completely added fuel to the fire that was my pre-existing condition. What was her pre-existing condition? She had a mental illness. She had identity crisis.
Dysphoria. Yeah.
She had gender dysphoria, which what we talked about, and I'm going to talk about this even more down the road. Maybe not all on the radio show, but I'm going to do it in a message on a Sunday after Easter. I'm doing this massive, probably one of the biggest sermon series I've ever done, and it's going to be talking about God and country, and we're going to talk about a plethora of stuff. I mean, this thing is probably 8-9 weeks. I'm going to talk about this stuff, and trust me, it's not political. It is spiritual that I'm going to be talking about. You're going to want to come, but here's the deal with gender dysphoria. It's saying I have a body, but my mind does not feel congruent with my body. So for her, here she is, she's actually a biological female, but her mind begins to tell her that she is a boy. And because of that, something has to change, right? Either your mind has to change or your body has to change because they're not together on what you're thinking and feeling. So therefore, you have to transform, according to what we believe, you transform your mind and renew your mind with the Word of God and what it tells you, or you have to change your body instead and believe the lie of what I would consider the Jezebel spirit.
Yeah.
You know, the Bible is very clear on our gender.
Yeah.
He fearfully and wonderfully made us, male or female. There's only two genders when it comes to the Bible and to God's ways. There's only two genders in the scientific and the biology of our lives. There's only two.
Yeah. And
they're believing a lie. They're trading the truth for a lie. And it's literally destroying young people today.
Yeah, it is. I mean, think about this. When you're growing up and you're at that age of 13, 14 and adolescence, do you get to do everything that you want? No, you need somebody there to watch over. You need somebody there to check your decisions, to say, hey, no, you need to go to bed earlier tonight.
Yeah.
You're not going to eat fish sticks every single night of the week. But yet, let's go ahead and give our 13-year-old the ability to say, hey, I don't feel like a woman today. Now I'm going to be a boy.
Yeah.
The other thing is, and I just thought about this, the human brain doesn't even finish developing until your mid to late 20s. But we're going to allow a 13-year-old's emotions, fleeting emotions, they're fleeting, they are here today, gone tomorrow, to make a permanent decision that will alter her. She will never be the same. She will never feel the same at all. And by the grace of God, I hope she can get through this, but it's damaging.
Well, that's the only way she's going to get through it is by the grace of God, because it's the only thing that can get you through that kind of mental illness. A regular psychologist, medicine, I don't care what it is not going to heal you from these things. There's only one answer that is going to heal you from this type of situation, and that is Jesus himself.
Yeah.
And you're right. I mean, when it comes to a parent or a child at age 13, their brain hasn't fully developed. They're not ready for society. This is why they're not considered an adult until they're 18 anyway. And to me, listen, I just cannot believe that a parent would allow this. But here's the deal, Austin, because parents are not educated, and you have doctors who are educated. You have doctors who have degrees and doctor's degrees, obviously, and they go through a lot of schooling to be the expert or the professional. Then they begin to basically tell the parent how to parent.
Yep.
They begin to tell the parent what's best for their own child when that doctor has no skin in the game.
Same with teachers.
There's only one thing that goes in their pocket.
Yeah, money.
It's called money.
Yep.
Follow the money, and you will see where people's agenda lies. You will see where their narratives are. And trust me, people, this is a sick, twisted, perverted thing that is going on in our world when it comes to transgenders in our young people. Listen, if you're 34 years old and you want to change your body, that's your choice.
Yep.
Choose what you want to do if you're of age. We don't care. We think you're a little bit, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and you might need to, get a little bit, you need to get a brain scan done, in my opinion.
I think you should start with that no matter what.
But I mean,
think you should start with counseling.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where we tell everybody,
Yeah.
So.
Well, anyway, this is insane. I mean, we're talking about some hot topics today. My blood pressure's already rising up. I got a sweatshirt on, about ready to peel it off right now because I just can't handle it. There's a lot of heat up in this room. So listen, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Get your coffee, go to the bathroom, and we will see you back here in just a few minutes. You're listening to Unfiltered on Real Talk Radio Network. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. You know what's funny? Because every time we take a break, I'm trying to think about what I can say to bring you back in. So I just thought I'd do a little horn. Yeah. You know, the trumpet is sounding, and no, Jesus is not returning because that's only Jason doing the trumpet sound. Either way, let's talk about something that is really right in front of us. And Austin, you and I have a little bit different perspective on this. Yeah. Let's just talk about it. Okay, we're talking about what has happened over the last several weeks, and it's all about bank failures. We've had a week ago, we had 2 big banks fail. Now I'm hearing there's been other smaller banks fail, and obviously we're being told by many other people that more banks are going to fail. And I think what is frustrating to me, I'm a person that wants to give hope, okay? I'm all about being real. I'm all about giving people the realness of where we are and what we're facing, but I'm not about being unbalanced, and I'm definitely not about instilling fear into people. And so my frustration when it comes to this subject is the fact that I feel like the right and the left, both sides, are instilling fear into people. The left is instilling fear that, you know, we're going to go to a one world currency, or not maybe one world right now, but a digital currency. That's the talk right now. We're going to find a way to go to digital currency. And that obviously instills fear into people. But then you got the far right of people saying, oh, well, when it comes to digital currency and one world currency, you know what? That's the end times, and the Antichrist is coming, and you got to pull all your money out of the banks, and you got to invest it in gold and silver and put all your cash in a safe and all these things. Well, guess what, people? Cash probably ain't going to do you anything when it gets to that point. Yeah. So I'm just trying to figure out this whole bank failure. And before you say anything, Austin, because I know we got plenty of time here, I want to just read a couple of things to let people know what bank failure is. Here's what it is. It is the closing of an insolvent bank by the federal or state regulator. The federal government has the power to close national banks, and banking commissioners have the power to close state chartered banks. Banks can be closed when they are unable to meet their obligations to the depositors and others. And so when a bank fails, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, which we all know is the FDIC, it covers the insured portion of the depositor's balance, including money in money market accounts. So we have to understand what a bank failure is. Here's one thing we can do is understand that when a bank fails, when it can't meet its financial obligations to the creditors and the depositors. This could occur because the bank has become insolvent or because it no longer has enough liquid assets to fulfill its payment obligations. So here's a couple takeaways, and then we'll jump into some of the thoughts, and then I'm going to go into the one world currency. Bank failures occur when the bank cannot meet its obligations to the creditors and depositors. The Federal Deposit Insurance, the FDIC, protects deposits up to $250,000 per depositor or per account. And in some cases, the FDIC may fully reimburse for lost deposits of a failed bank without using federal or state tax revenues. And then lastly, bank failures are often difficult to predict. So those are some takeaways when it comes to bank failures. And listen, it doesn't mean the world's going to end because a bank fails. What it means is whoever's in charge of the bank didn't know how to handle the assets of the bank. Yeah. The good news is, for me, the way I look at it is, if most Americans don't have more than $250,000 in a bank. Yeah. Most Americans. Yeah. And so if you're sitting out there and you're listening right now and your bank fails, the good news is you will get your money back. I firmly believe that you're going to get your money back. Now, if you're in the Silicon Valley bank that collapsed, and these were all startup companies, these were companies that had lots of money, millions of dollars in the bank, they're also going to get their money back because they're going to use another bank that has enough equity and assets in it to actually, from the federal government, to return their money. Now, it may take some time for that to happen, but from what I've read and what I understand, they will get their money back.
Yeah.
So we've had this discussion because you obviously been talking about this with your brother and your cousin and other people.
And anyone who will listen.
And you feel like this is a big deal.
I mean, I feel like this is a precursor to what could become a very big deal. I want to be really careful with my words because I think my thing is I'm not.
Because I will call you out.
Yeah, I mean, well, and it's live, you know. So I'm not trying to instill fear in anybody, and I don't look at this as a left and right issue. Sure, there's good and evil out there, but I don't think that that's a left and right thing. That's just the fact of the world that we live in. So I just look at history, and history tends to repeat itself whenever people don't pay attention. And really, in general, history just tends to repeat itself. And the last crash that we had was in 1929. So that was about 100 years ago. And what we're seeing now is we're seeing the development of what they're calling CBDC, which is central bank digital currency. Mm-hmm. And what that is it's a government-controlled central bank, okay, that is a one world currency. It's not if there's going to be a one world currency, it's when. Mm-hmm. And literally, just the other day, on March 9th, Joe Biden signed an executive order calling on the government, or the U.S. government, to examine the risks and benefits of cryptocurrencies. And the Biden administration wants to explore a digital version of the dollar using CDBC. And so it's coming. It's happening. And what we have to understand is in the use cases that I've seen, what some people have said is that once this central bank, CBDC rolls out, what'll happen is you'll wake up one day, you'll go to the gas pump to pump your gas, and you'll have a error on your card. Please call your bank. You call your bank. Sorry, your funds are no longer available. Please hold. And what will happen is all of the banks in the United States and in the world will be under the control of one bank, basically. But they'll still keep the facades of Bank of America, U.S. Bank, Citibank, Chase Bank, So that reduces panic. And I know I'm sounding a little bit like a conspiracy theorist right now, but I'm telling you, this is how it's going to happen. This is exactly how it's going to happen. And what's going to happen is they're going to say, how much do I have in my bank account right now? Do you think I have $30,000 in my checking account right now? Just, you can say yes or no.
No,
I don't. World. I do not. I'm sorry. I work at a church.
He has $30 in his checking.
So here's what's going to happen. What did they do during COVID? Hey guys, sorry, the world shut down. We're going to send you $1,400 stimulus. Yeah. Do you know one person that didn't cash that stimulus money? Mm-hmm. The people that had millions, and they didn't get a stimulus check. Right. Because they're appealing to the people in the lower class. They're appealing to the people that are not, middle class and in the poverty rate. You put $30,000 in my bank account overnight, I'm not questioning where that money's coming from. But the thing that we have to realize is that that's all you get for the year.
Right.
So the people that have $2 million in the bank, they only get $250,000 because they're redistributing wealth. That's how they'll give everybody $30,000.
And what's that called? Everybody?
That's called socialism. Yep. And then that socialism, which I know we've been researching this, leads to tyranny even worse, which is called communism, which is state government-owned entities, which we're already seeing. That's what the FDIC is. It's the government's coming in and subsidizing and saying, hey, I know you pay into FDIC insurance $250,000. Well, banks pay into that. That's not taxpayer money. That is correct.
Right.
But it's still the government stepping in. Let the bank collapse.
Here's the only struggle I have.
Yeah.
So I do agree that it is going to come at some point.
Yes.
But I don't know if it's going to be in our lifetime or not. Because the truth of the matter is, this idea of world currency is not a new one. It's been happening since 1969. The International Monetary Fund, the IMF, created this thing called the SDR, which is a special drawing rights as a supplementary global reserve asset. And the SDR's value is based on a basket of 5 currencies: the US dollar, the Japanese yen, the euro, the British pound sterling, and the Chinese renminbi.
I don't even know what
whatever that is. And so this has been going on for 54 years. They've been talking about this.
Yeah.
And I do agree. I mean, I think it would be great to have digital currency to a degree. I think it would be great. I love the fact that crypto had a card that you could buy things without the government knowing what the crap you were buying.
And that's what's changing.
It is changing. That is the frustrating thing. The government wants to know every dollar you're spending.
Yeah.
Like right now, you can't even go to the bank and withdraw $10,000 without them wanting to know why you're doing it.
They will ask you.
My thing is, that's none of your business.
Yeah.
It's none of your business. If I got $100,000 in the bank and I want to withdraw all of it today, I should be able to. But you can't because the bank, number one, don't have $100,000. And number two, you got to tell the bank why you want to withdraw the money. And you can't even withdraw. You can go in and withdraw $999 or $9,999 and it doesn't red flag anything. But if you go back the next day and try to withdraw another another 9,999, it wouldn't let you because now it's flagging you for, beating the system. It is a bunch of crap. And this is that thing that we talk about where we're allowing the government to be in our business way too deep into our business. And this is what happens, ladies and gentlemen, when you have a democratic government, a government of liberals, a government of the left, a government that wants a big government to control all the people with fear. And what you said, Austin, earlier, hey, you know what? Don't worry about if you don't have any money. We're going to give you some money, but you only have so much.
Right. That's
they want to redistribute the wealth of the world to everybody. We got to be equal. We got to be fair.
Equity. That's what that's called. It's bull. Now, equality's good, but they're trying to make things to where there's no differences. It reminds me of the movie and the book, The Giver. They take away all the differences of every single person to make them equal. They give them equal housing, equal clothing. It takes away individualism and it creates a
capitalism.
Society. Oh yeah, capitalism is gone. It's shot, and that's when that's Marxism. That's communism. That's all of these. But I will say this: there are people out there right now. DeSantis is one of them. Ted Cruz. They are proposing bills and legislation to block the U.S. government from even considering a CBDC. And the thing that Biden's wanting to do also is he's wanting to be able to track and trace cryptocurrencies.
Right.
So those are just things to look out for. Do I think it's the mark of the beast? No, that's not what I'm saying.
That's what we need. And listen, again, we're going to talk about this. We are going to talk about all of this in a sermon series. And trust me, again, it's not political. It's spiritual and biblical. We're going to show you we're going to talk about the end times. And this is a big one, Austin, because, a lot of people are fearful of the end times.
It's
the Christians.
It's one of the number one questions that is Googled is what is going to happen in the end times.
And it's crazy because guess what? The answers are right in the book. They're in the book of Revelation, and we're going to talk about that. And one thing, just let me give you a little snippet.
Yeah.
We are not going to be around when the mark of the beast shows up. We're not going to be around. None of us that are Christians right now. Let me rephrase. If you are a Christian, if you are a believer of Jesus Christ, he died on the cross, he rose from the grave, you accepted him into your life, and it's not about works, it's by the grace is how we're saved. If you believe that and you've accepted him in your life, we will not be here when all of this goes down. You are not going to have to worry about the mark of the beast. You're not going to have to worry about one world government. We are going to be taken up way before any of that happens.
Yeah, and if anybody tells you otherwise, then I think that's where we need to reevaluate, because it's really easy to sit there and show different types of. There are different types. We don't really know the actual timeline, and you agree with that.
Yeah.
But we do know that the taking away of the church happens before the lawless one comes onto the stage.
Yeah,
and that's what the word says.
The restrainer. And which is grace, God's going to say, you know what? I've had grace for you. I've had grace for you. I've given you opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. And then he's going to say, I'm done. Boom. And he's going to remove the restrainer. He's going to remove grace out of the world, and all hell is going to break loose. The good news is when that's done, we go up first.
Right.
And so there's a lot to talk about. I've got so much in me to talk about this that I can't even begin to go into it because we only have one segment left and we only have a few seconds. So listen, if you like what you're hearing, don't go anywhere. We will be back in just a minute and we'll wrap this up with some more headline news when we come back. I think I'm going to bring every segment in with the horn. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are wrapping up the show this morning on this beautiful day outside. Boy, spring is here. It's on its way. And boy, are we seeing the showers that happened the other day, a couple days ago. And but hey, let's just go into this last topic. That this one here again. All these topics fire me up, but I want to talk about two things that I caught in an article. One was an article from Chicago, Illinois, the great state, the great communist state of Illinois, as I like to say.
I call it Hellinois.
Yeah, Hellinois. The great town of Chicago, where there's hardly any crime and, gun laws are... Anyway, you guys get what I'm saying. I'm being stupid. But this happened in the state of Illinois, and let me read this article to you. This is absolutely insane. But the Illinois enacts a mandatory paid leave for any reason. So Illinois will become one of the 3 states to require employers to offer paid time off for any reason after Governor J.B. Pritzker signed a law on Monday that will take effect next year. Now, when I say Monday, this happened on March the 13th, so this was a few weeks ago. But starting on January 1 of 2024, Illinois employers must offer workers paid time off based on hours worked, with no need to explain the reason for their absence as long as they provide notice in accordance with the reasonable employer standards. Maine and Nevada also mandated something very similar on earned paid time off and allot employees the freedom to decide how to use it. So I'm just going to stop there. I own my own business.
Yeah.
I own a deck and fence business. I've owned it for 27 years. And I have never had anybody tell me what I have to do. However, recently, because the company made over a certain dollar amount, now the Department of Labor has stepped in to try to control how I do my business, which is a bunch of crap. Now, on top of it, I think about my business, that they want me to be mandated to give my guys time off, 5 days. Now, I get it. They got to work so many 40-hour work weeks to get 1 hour of paid time off. Okay, I get that. But to tell me that I have to give my employees paid time off in a small business is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I'm all for you not having to tell why you're taking time off. So in my business, what I do, and I just started this year voluntarily, I give all my guys 2 weeks paid time off, and they can use it however they wish. We're a seasonal business, so if it's in the wintertime and we're slow, they can use the days when they're in the winter. If they just want to take a day off, they can take a day off. If they have a sick day, they can take it for a sick day. If it's vacation, it's vacation. It doesn't matter. I'm giving them 2 weeks paid time off, but that's my choice.
Right, that's your choice.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
Now we have the government in the communist state of Illinois that is dictating to all the employers that they are now mandated that they have to give these people paid time off for every hour they work. They get, or for every 40 hours, they get 1 hour up to the 5 days.
You know what this is going to do, I feel like? Because I worked for Regal Entertainment Group, and our company policy was that you had 40 hours of PTO, okay, for however many years you worked. So 0 to 3 years, it was 40, then it was 80, right. Whatever. But what I feel, so my question, I guess, is if they already have PTO through their company, maybe it's a week, is this another week? Or if they have 2 weeks, does this mean that they only have, how does that? Yeah,
that's a good question. This is, from the way I'm understanding this is for, if you already give time off, then it is not going to affect you. Okay. This is only for companies, and it's only really going to affect small businesses more than anybody. This is for those companies that really have a hard time maybe affording to pay people when they're not there. And so therefore they're being mandated by a law that they have to give that time.
So you know how COVID shut all the major, it didn't shut major companies down. Walmart is essential.
Right.
Target was essential.
Right.
Okay, all these corporations, it killed small businesses. Right. That's step one. This just seems like another step to say, hey, if we kill these small businesses in a slow but steady pace, then what happens?
Yep.
Communism.
Yeah.
The government owns it all.
It's a way to
It's
knock out the
ridiculous.
small businesses. That's exactly right. And it's ridiculous. Now listen, here's another deal. Because that's what happened on the Illinois side. But let's take this one step further, because right now we're hearing all over the place that the government, our current administration, wants to go to a 4-day work week. And they said, would a 4-day work week really be a win-win? Well, depends who you ask. We're a church, right? In a church, we can do an actual 4-day work week. We do that for the health of our team because of the type of business we do.
Right.
And one reason is because we still are here on a Sunday working, but that is what we call our volunteer day, just like anybody else. We work 24/7, 7 days a week. Ministry never stops. But what we do try to do is take a break from the business side of ministry.
Yep.
A lot of people don't understand that business in a church is God's business.
Right.
But then there's also ministry, which is what you're dealing with people. That's praying for people. That's house visits. That's visiting at a hospital. That's taking a call for a friend or
Counseling or
anything.
whatever, yeah.
Those things happen all the time. They never stop. So for us, we can do a 4-day work week. But for my deck and fence business, I cannot pay, because it's not just about a 4-day work week. It's paying them for 5 days, only working 4 days.
Right.
In my business, that would not work for me. I don't make enough money on my jobs to be able to pay my guys a 5-day work week, but yet they only work 4 days, unless they were to work 10-hour days,
Yeah.
which would still be a 40-hour work week. But they don't want that. They want it to be a 32-hour work week and get paid for 40.
Right.
Which means even if you are only working the 32 hours, the 4 days, if you wanted to work the 5th day, you would have to pay them overtime. After 32 hours, they would get overtime. So they're going to get a 40-day work week pay, only work 4 days, only work 32, and then if they work any more than 32, it's overtime. That is going to absolutely destroy all the trades: plumbing, construction, electrical, HVAC, lawn care, landscape, all those things. It's going to kill that business.
How about the government goes back to, protecting us, from enemies, foreign and domestic, and fixing the roads and the bridges, and leave the everything else to the people?
How about we not pay the government at all and they do it for free?
Yeah. Or how about this is 2 things in a row where the government is saying of course they're proposing it, but you telling me what I have to do as a government. Are you kidding me right now? This is the type of stuff that fires me up.
Well, they've done these experiments in other countries, and, again, it works for certain businesses. If you're a tech company, it would work. Yeah. If you're in computer engineering, it would work. If you are into maybe sales, it would work. If you're a church, it would work. If you're in a hospital, it would work. If you have a government job, it would work, guaranteed, because you already work less hours.
You already work 3 days a week. I'm kidding.
Yeah. But when you are an actual trade, a hands-on blue-collar worker, it looks very different for those people, and it's insane to me that they actually want to implement this.
I'm all for a 4-day work week voluntarily.
Right.
It's teachers, 4-day work week, 4-day school week. Great, do it, but don't mandate it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at.
Well, that's where we're at, ladies and gentlemen. Let us know what you think in the app. Let me know what you think. Send me a text if you would. I want to know your thoughts. 314-924-4215. We love you guys. We will see you next week on Unfiltered Radio Show.